Morning guys, how you doing? I'm Yalik and it is Thursday, so we're doing War Factory. Now, spoiler, I think it was this task force. Let's check. Did anybody actually? Oh good, thank you. Posted a challenge last night. A guy beat me with a warrior attack and his boosts were really low, and that made me think I needed to revisit my base defense a little bit. So I've had some of my guys test it out. I guess it wasn't this task force, but in one of my task forces yesterday, somebody posted a video. Oh lord, it was probably more than 12 hours ago, so this person has to be somewhere over in the far east or the South Pacific. For a long time I was playing with a guy who was in Singapore, and he would post his War Factory videos well before, the day before the rest of us in the Western world got them, and so that was always very helpful. So I've seen this War Factory layout. Of course, you can always go on YouTube the day before and see the layout too, and it is probably the friendliest War Factory layout you've ever seen. So we are going to try something a little different today. I've already done it on my smallest account. A couple of cleanup hits, you'll see that approach in a bit, but we're going to try for the solo with this account. If we don't get it, that's fine, but it is quite possible, and if you're ever going to solo one of these things, it is this layout. Now, yes, I know if I care about maximizing my shards and crystals and things, I should not be destroying these, but I don't care, honestly. You gotta draw the line somewhere. PvP takes up enough time that I don't need to be attacking NPCs all day. So, get that. Hopefully gold, not gold. Of course not. It's War Factory Day. Why would it be gold? Shards, always. So, here is the War Factory. I was talking about something similar to this layout, I think, a few weeks ago. This is actually an easy iteration of this layout, easier than normal. Normally, this War Factory, you'll notice there's no shield. What do we have for health? Total is just under 500, so that's not bad. A little bit of extra GBE down here if you should want it. Not much, but just a little. And normally with this layout, this area over here, this is why I was mentioning it a couple of weeks ago, this area over here is generally all hot pots, and instead of hot pots this time we have sniper towers. So that, obviously, if you're going to use Zuka, which we are if you're going to solo here, maybe you could do it another way, I don't know, and I don't care. But if you're going to use Zuka, obviously these being snipers rather than hot pots creates a huge safety net for you. So pretty simple approach. We're going to barrage these mines, and that's going to be our kill zone, and that's going to require 4 shocks. I just saw somebody, actually one of the replays I just passed when I was scrolling through chat, somebody decided to go up here, which is a slightly longer walk but still 4 shocks, so I don't see any point in doing that. So we'll use this spot, you know, save a couple of smokes anyway, and just go for the 4 shocks. So that's going to be machine guns and mortars and rocket launchers, and we will be out of range of this laser beam and this one to the left. So the 2 all the way to the left, out of range of the shock launcher, out of range of these rocket launchers. So that leaves these 4 lasers, which you'll need to get as a single shock. It's not a hard shock, it's got to be right about there, but you do have to land it, because if you don't, you're going to get melted. So without further ado, hopefully the barrage gets all the mines. Hopefully you are enjoying this barrage damage tribe. We will actually be able to take advantage of that down on the next hit. So we're going to try to get this cleanly. Not too bad. It's always that boat back at the corner that you worry about there, because then the rockets don't see them, so let's get up there. And hopefully everybody funnels the way they're supposed to, and that's another reason to love that flare spot. That's looking nice. Perfect. We still have the delay even. That's always a good thing. Are we going to have enough GBE for 4 shocks, though? Nope. Medkits. Medkits. And artillery for the win. Woo! So, as I did say, there is some extra GBE down there if you want it. You might find it handy, and honestly, sacrificing a boat of Zookas there for the extra time you get on the medkits, or extra time you get on the shocks, might be advisable. You're doing a little less damage, but you're going to have a ton more time. That was, what, maybe about 5 seconds. You know, better to get the 10 seconds of peace and quiet, perhaps. So, that is the solo version. And now we'll do the version that I would recommend more normally. So, we'll be back in just a second.
There will now be a medium-sized intermission.
Okay, we're back and ready to roll. And make sure we have Everspark loaded up. Anything? No? Okay. Alright. So, we'll dive right into this. What we are going to do with this account, there's a little less GBE. As you just saw, GBE is a factor. On this account, I think I start with 105-ish? I'm not quite sure. But I have slightly less GBE than I did on the last account. However, that is not going to matter here because we are going to clean this up like crazy. I'm going to try to hack the rocket launchers and all of the mortars. I'm going to use the extra damage from the Barrage Tribe. Let's see, what am I getting here? Is it the full 50%? Yes, so that's fully boosted. We're at 50%. So we'll use that to BART the machine guns. And away we go. The machine guns are pretty low health, if I recall from my previous account. Let's see. I'm just going to damage those all up at the same time. This is going to be a little bit tricky because there are lasers in play here. I'm going to flare like that and then get her up there. Boy, that is right on the edge. Gonna try for the double tap, which is a little bit tricky here on Shoreline because you have to get past here on your timer. Didn't get it. Didn't see what she defaulted to, so let's make sure she's on the rocket, which is what we want next. Not gonna worry about double tap here. And I'm going to try for double tap here if we have the GBE. Should be able to do it. Cool. Not going to bother with a smoke this time. Oh no. Oh, did we get it off before she died? Well, yes, we did. Cool. Because she got zapped in a hurry there. I don't know if you saw that. Let's see. Going to try not to damage things over there, so we'll just use some critters to clear some mines. Perfect. Because I don't want the machine guns or anything else getting damaged before I have hacked those mortars. Confirm. Seriously. Yeah, I meant it. No, that button is actually a good thing, having to tap twice on the retreat button. Because if you tap it just the one time, I have heard people have done that by mistake and retreated on things like op hits and so on. Coffee break. Which would be horrible if you were in the middle of your op hit and then happened to hit the retreat button and it were just a one tap exit from the game or from the attack. That would suck. Alright, so hacking the 2 mortars, we're going to try to place, going to be in range regardless, which is unfortunate, but just the double hack and then just barraging. And I do need to remember, I feel like this is all pretty easy to do. I mean, you have 5 hits. Once you're done with this one, probably, you shouldn't need use a flare on this one. You shouldn't really need more than one hit to get this, because I'm going to default to perfect. So she defaulted to the mortar closest to us, but we're going to select the one further, and that way we know she will, when we hit the button the second time, she will get the mortar that we want right here. And then over here, and yeah, that middle machine gun is going to die now, as a matter of fact. Let's see. Hopefully we can get both of these right now. I think that'll be possible. Good, good, good. And then there's really nothing else to do in terms of GBE, so just drop it on the core. Okay, not forgetting to switch over to brick. Don't forget brick, don't forget brick. Because I've already done that once today on the smallest account. Brought over spark instead. However, it didn't end up mattering because, I'll show you why in a second. Everything we want, 3 hits left. Have brick. At this point, if we go to that same spot, same kill zone I used before, again, those rockets don't range, shock launchers don't range, and the 2 left lasers don't range. From over there, again, the flamethrowers won't range, and we're not really worried about snipers and cannons and things. We could throw a critter back there, and that would distract them plenty. So that just really leaves these 4 laser beams again, so we have just 1 shock. So on the lowest level account, because I didn't bring brick, I did end up having to repeat that shock. So don't make that mistake, do bring brick. And hopefully we can get this landing cleanly, as before. Although actually, we had to land cleanly before because there were rocket launchers covering shore. Now there are not, so let's just go like so. Hopefully the girls funnel like they did before. There's a little bit, some might tend to wander off to the left side, as you saw right there. So do keep that in mind, try to cover that path. You really want to make sure not to peek here because you are in range of lasers, and lasers don't like you. Okay, there's that critter, there's the shock, nice and early, missed a laser. Okay, well, after you deliver that shock, look, watch the lasers, just have your eye on the lasers. That one at the top turned to face me, so threw the second shock on it as quickly as possible. I was off just a smidge. I threw the first shock a tile or so to the right of where it needed to be, and so I missed that top laser. But there is a tiny bit of time where that laser turns towards you, and there's not much of a delay, but there's a little bit of a delay there, and that was enough to land the shock before the laser fired. So if you're going to try that approach, good idea to keep your eye on that laser. Anyway, so that is now keep in mind, so that's the solo way, and that's the, you know, like the blue collar way with some cleanup efforts. Keep in mind that if you try this, what was that, like 5-6 smokes, if you try to replicate this, if you start from the same spots where I did, and if you flare to the same spot where I ended up, the girls will walk on that same path every time. And that's, I mean, normally they're walking that path, as I said earlier in the previous clip, but normally they're walking that path next to a bunch of hot pots, but they will walk this same path. There's a couple girls who spread to that side of that crate on the previous time they didn't, but otherwise they will, so you're going to see them start to curve, and they go with the sniper towers, and they're going to go around that one. So as long as you throw your smokes to cover those things, they will follow that same path pretty much every time. So it's pretty predictable. It's a great war factory to practice on. As there you go, see that laser turned and it's looking at me. All the rest are still facing the shore because they didn't get a chance to see me. So that was a little bit close there. But the girls will take that path every single time on this layout, whether it's sniper towers over here, whether it's hot pots, regardless. It's predictable, and so once you practice it a couple times, it becomes pretty easy to replicate that path. So this is a great layout for practicing. And again, with the hacking, same thing. We still had, that was what, 3? So 2 hits remaining. So even if you do screw something up along the way, or if your Sparky gets zapped by the lasers while you're trying to get off the hacks, so what? There's room for play there. There's wiggle room, I guess. So this is how I learned. Actually, the guy I mentioned earlier from Singapore, Henry. This is how I learned to do War Factory from him. This is also how I learned to walk Zuka, and I've done a lot of my hacking practice on War Factory because the layouts, as I've said so many times, it's like an operation that you do by yourself. But the nice thing about it is, unlike an operation where everybody is watching you when you fail, we celebrate failure with public humiliation. That's what the sign says on one of the op bases. There is no public humiliation here because nobody else has to see it. So unless you want them to, in which case, you can share your attacks and so on, but nobody has to see it. So get out there, get crazy, have a little fun with it. Anyway, that was interesting. That was cool. And I'll catch you guys later. Take care.